All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Young Startup. Today, we have a special guest, someone that's actually from Germany, right?
Yeah, from Germany.
From Germany, young girl, phenomenal experience. And we're going to be interviewing her today just to kind of dive into more of like the social media marketing influencer space. So to kind of kick things off, please meet Hannah. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. we have a hard last name to pronounce as well, so I can resonate with that. But what we'll do is we'll get you to kind of kick things off. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing current state, and also just the journey that you've kind of taken to get where you're at right now.
Yeah, sure. So, hi guys, nice to meet you. My name is Hannah. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Berlin, Germany. My journey began quite early. I started with 15 years old, I believe. I originally wanted to be a journalist. I always wanted to write articles, and then the internet came into my life, basically. And it was just a cool thing to have a blog. So I started having a blog. It was very, very basic. So I just took pictures with my digital camera in front of a mirror of my outfits. And that was basically the start of my fashion blogging career. And yeah, that built up over the years. I started as a full-time influencer right when I finished school. That was my full-time job. I earned money online while traveling the world, which is basically the dream nowadays. But it really was a dream. So I had an amazing time. And I still do content creation and being an influencer on YouTube, on Instagram, and with my own blog. But in 2020, in January, I founded my own company called The Creator Concept. We started by teaching others how to do content creation and influencer marketing the most professional way. Basically, how to earn money with Instagram as an influencer or as a content creator. And now we developed a little bit. We've grown up a little bit. So right now we actually are planning a rebranding, launching in June. And our direction right now is to help other people earn money through social media, but not only as an influencer, but also with digital products like ebooks, online courses, memberships, and to scale service-based businesses. So we offer digital products. We have a membership, as I said, and we also do one-on-one coachings for service providers. So yeah, I'm a social media coach and influencer marketing expert, manager, and content creator myself.
That's the definition of an entrepreneur there.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. Sure, I want to chat with you about your education. You said you finished school. Are we talking post-secondary? Or are we talking just secondary school, like grade 12? I don't even know how the grade
12, yeah. Grade 12, in Germany, we call it Abitur.
Okay, awesome. So you didn't even go into post-secondary. You kind of just dove straight into the influencer life right after secondary school.
I mean, it was always the plan to study someday. And I started studying in, I think, April of last year, but I quit after like 6 weeks. So that was a great start into the educational part of my life. No, I finished school and then I started traveling the world because I was 18 when I was done with school, and it was like, okay, no, I want to see the world first. And I had a great time. So from planned 3-month break to 1.5 years later, I started university and quit because I noticed that I just want to pursue my entrepreneurial journey. So yeah, now I'm a full-time entrepreneur without any degree from a university.
Yeah. Do you think you'll go to school? I'm curious. This is a good conversation.
I mean, I think my dad hopes so, that I will go back someday. But right now, I'm not planning to, because it will cost me 3+ years of my life that I currently don't want to invest into school, because I want to invest it in my business, which fulfills me the most. And yeah, so I don't think I want to go back, but never say never.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, Eric and I, we went to post-secondary. We called it an advanced diploma program where we really took like an 8-course workload for a 2-year period. So we grinded it out. It wasn't too long, but it was tough. But all said and done, quite transparently, the things that we learned the most from school, it wasn't the theory, it wasn't the textbook stuff. It was the practical things, the things that you learn from actually doing. So it was a very hands-on experience going to this school, this educational-based school. And the things that we learned the most was like how to communicate with people, how to network with people. But you can do those things in the real world as opposed to in a school where you're spending $10,000 a semester. So If I were to give you advice, honestly, just keep doing what you're doing.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I want to dive in a little bit further. You were chatting around, helping influencers make money. What does that look like? Like, I obviously know what an influencer, we engage with quite a few influencers with our product-based business. But how do you help influencers specifically make money? Is that helping them create content? Is that helping them land partnerships? Or what does that exactly look like for you?
So we help them in two ways. We, for the majority, we have our digital products. We have an online course, just teaching them how to build up a social media profile that looks professional, how to communicate with brands, how to negotiate, how to land collaborations themselves. Basically just teaching them the theory. And then I also have influencer management, meaning I manage 4 other girls and negotiate all their brand deals, reach out to brands, and organize everything about their campaigns, and they can just concentrate on creating the content and I do everything else.
Interesting. Cool. What does a campaign look like? I'm curious.
A campaign can look like many different ways, but usually a brand just reaches out to us, says, hey, we're planning a launch, or we want to put this product in the spotlight. We want to book some Insta stories, a feed post, a reel, a YouTube video, whatever it is. And then we negotiate like the terms, like, okay, what's the timeline, how many posts, for how much? And I handle everything regarding the briefing and the contract and being in contact with the brand and the influencer. So the campaign can look so many different ways. Like nowadays, I think in Canada, I don't know how your restrictions are currently, but in Germany, normally, of course, there are some events and some press trips involved, but right now it's just receiving the product and posting about it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, ever since COVID, I think a lot of things went digital. Like you can host events, maybe not in person, but you can host events through Zoom or some kind of live conference play. And I think it's shifting that way, which is super cool to think about now. The other thing that you'd mentioned is you help service-based providers essentially get more outreach, things along those lines. Can you kind of expand a little bit on that and what exactly that would entail? Obviously, a little bit different than influencers, I'd say. But to put things in perspective, like Eric and I, for ourselves, we run a course as well, teaching people how to sell on Amazon. So selling physical products. Now, is that something that you would be able to approach and help with, or do you target specific people?
No, so I have no idea about Amazon or any
got it.
Any stuff that has to do with that. But for example, my clients are oftentimes virtual assistants, social media managers, other coaches, mentors, trainers, whatever it is. And I teach them how to scale their offer, how to get clients, how to build a landing page, how to build up a passive income through digital products like ebooks, online courses, templates, whatever it is. But also, of course, influencer marketing. My coaching program is quite individual. So everybody just comes to me and says, hey, I want to do this. Can you help me with it? And I'm very open when it comes to the topics, but of course, always in the frame of social media and marketing and digital products.
Got it. I want to talk around, you said you started 5 years ago, essentially, right? When you were 15, you're 20 now. I'm
21 now, so almost 6 years, yeah.
What was it like back then? Like, what was it like in 2015? I know a lot of things have changed, even during the COVID period over the past couple of years, things have changed drastically. What was life like as an influencer back in 2015? Was it different? Were processes different? Were there different ways of marketing? What did that look like?
For once, it was not as crowded, I'd say, because I think the big boom happened like right after, like 2016, 2017 or something. So 2015 was very, very early stage. So there were a few influencers, but only the big ones. And I think over the years, several things shifted. For example, of course, there's so many people. There's a huge mass of people being an influencer and earning money online. And nowadays, you don't need 100,000 or 500,000 followers, which you needed then to earn big money. Nowadays, it's much more important to have the right audience, to have the right engagement rate, which I found very good, because you can have 1 million followers, but if only 10% of them, or like less, like maybe 1,000 people like your picture, it just doesn't make sense. So why should you pay for 1 million followers if they don't really see the posts? So brands and agencies really shifted their perspective, which I found quite cool, because also all the small influencers, macro influencers, can also earn money online. What also shifted, of course, is there are more brands doing it because they all saw the potential in influencer marketing. And right now, a lot of people think, okay, yeah, we're almost over the wave of influencer marketing, which I don't see it like that necessarily. Of course, there's a lot of competition now, but there's a lot more opportunities now too.
Interesting. I'm curious to know a little bit more about engagement. We've done a lot of influencer marketing. We've hit some good home runs. Like we have some really good partners in the influencer space, but there's also a lot of people that we thought were going to be great, but just weren't. So, let's say I was reaching out to an influencer as a brand and I was wanting to partner up with them. If I was that brand, what does, your rules of engagement look like? Like what makes an influencer, you talk about like the niche and the actual following that they have, but also what does that engagement look like? Does it, equate to how much comments they're getting on posts? Is there tools that you can use? How do you vet people essentially?
Yeah, so every time you work with an influencer, you should request the screenshots of their analytics, of course, just to see, okay, which percentage is in which country and age and gender and stuff. So those are the basic things. Always request screenshots because, of course, they also can be Photoshopped, but you have a great chance of getting the right screenshots. And then when you look at the profile, of course, engagement is in the first place around like likes and comments and how's the ratio to that. So the average ratio you should look for is between 5 to 10%. The bigger the account gets, the smaller the engagement rate will be. So just a heads up of that. And also when you look at the account, likes and comments can basically be bought so easily online. So take a look inside their following and inside their likes, scroll through the profiles. Are those normal profiles or are those bots with a lot of numbers and without profile pictures and stuff like that in the name? And also what kind of comments do the influencers get? Do they get just emojis or genuine questions? Does the influencer answer? Because that's a really important point that a lot of brands miss. Maybe they have a great engagement rate because they get a lot of likes on their pictures. Maybe they post a lot of bikini pictures, whatever it is. But does the influencer have a relationship to their community? Do they answer questions? Do they engage with them? Do they answer their DMs and questions and whatever they have? Because the community has to trust the influencer in order to trust them when the influencer suggests to buy a product. So you should always look into that. Like to find the right influencer that brings in a lot of cash is such a deep research task. So many people just think, okay, yeah, has a lot of followers, great, a lot of likes, we'll book her or him. So it's not always that easy.
Yeah. Interesting. What's the difference between a micro influencer and an influencer? It's a regular influencer.
Okay, so there are different stages of influencers. We have micro influencers until 10K. Then we have macro influencers until I think 100K. Then we have, I don't know what the next, macro. Then we have the mega influencers. Those are the really big ones. I think 500K upwards. And I think those are the 3 stages. And we also have nano influencers. Those are below like 5K.
5,000. Okay. And, let's say like a micro influencer under 10K, do people, like, typically speaking, to put things in perspective, people that we partner up with, and our business is very like organizational based. We sell physical products that, improve organization, improve home storage, things along those lines. And we typically partner with people under 10K. So I guess the micro influencer stage, and we typically just give them a free product and then they go ahead and promote it. What are like typical packages? Can people monetize from like a cash perspective? Like, can people make money? Like, let's say create 2 posts for like $500, things along those lines. What does that look like? And what kind of stage do you need to be in to start monetizing per package basis, if that makes sense?
Okay, so there are not really rules you have to follow, but there are different kind of collaborations. As you said, you change your product in exchange for a post. That's called a barter deal. Then you have the paid collaborations, of course, where the influencer gets paid on top of the product, and you have commission-based or affiliate-based marketing that I think you're the pros at. So when you want to charge for a partnership, There is like, I mean, I only know the German ratios because maybe they can vary in different countries. But for example, in Germany, you get, when you charge for a feed post, 10 euros per 1,000 followers. So for example, if somebody has 10,000 followers, that means they get 100 euros for a feed post. But of course, those can vary depending on the country, the niche, the industry, everything. And that's all, that's not the price you should look at. You should also calculate things like the engagement rate, the audience, how much does it fit, how were previous collaborations. That's all factors that you should calculate into these numbers, but that's like a rough calculation you can use.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, I think in Canada and the States, it's very different. I think that people charge whatever they want to charge. My girlfriend runs a bikini brand, and she's had some influencers that she's reached out to, and they're like, I'm charging like $10,000 and $5,000, super expensive. Yes, they had like high amount of followers and everything like that, but as a small business, it's just like, how are you supposed to make ends meet if you're paying $10,000 for an influencer? It's kind of ridiculous.
You can always try. You can always try to tell the brand a number, and if you're lucky, some brands will pay for it. But yeah, you should always try to be fair. And of course, the brand pays you, but you should bring the brand more cash than the brand paid you. So.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be a good ROI for sure.
Yeah. Do you only support Germany?
I work a lot with German-speaking clients, so all my audience and all my content is in German. So I have an audience in Germany, Switzerland, and also in Austria. I, of course, can speak English, but I decided to stay on the German market first because there are more social media coaches in the English-speaking industry, but not that many in Germany. So I decided to concentrate on the German market first, but I don't know, maybe in a few years we will expand to that and to English-speaking markets.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So I wanted to get into, I guess, the whole other side of this conversation. We talked about what it's like finding these people. Now I want to be like, let's say I wanted to be an influencer. In like the modern age, how would I go about, let's say I'm starting from scratch and it's my goal to become an influencer by the end of the year. What does that look like? How do I build an audience for that? In order for me to be like, okay, I can go comfortably reach out to people and actually start landing partnerships. Like, what are the things that we need to consider?
There are a lot of things. No, so back in the years when I started on Instagram, you needed to have the perfect pictures. You had to be so pretty. Every picture had to be the perfect Instagram shot, basically. And I think nowadays people don't want to see that. They want to see your personality. They want to see you stand out. They want to know your opinions, the way you think, what you're dreaming about. So I would start by putting yourself out there, basically. It's as simple as that. Start posting, start telling people what you're like, what you're thinking, taking them with you through just your everyday life. People want to take part in your everyday life, almost like your private life, but it's not your private life. It just looks like that. And you also have to build trust and like a bond with your community from the beginning on. And in terms of, okay, what's the strategy behind the growth? I would recommend posting video content and boosting that on Instagram, for example, IGTVs, but also in feed video, and of course, Reels. Reels is currently the biggest thing you can do on Instagram to grow, and also to use other platforms to cross-promote themselves. So, for example, TikTok is a good platform where you can grow really, really well. It's the only platform where you can grow that good currently. So it was always like, maybe your girlfriend has a TikTok account for her bikini business. I hope she does, because that's the number one way small businesses can grow today. So posting video content, getting to know your audience to the deets. What are their pain points, their dreams, their challenges, and how can you help them? And also have a very strong niche. I always explain with a Netflix, like on the Netflix model, because people are always like, oh yeah, I have these interests and I want to do this and this and this and this, and have 10 different topics they're talking about. And of course, you're a person with so many different interests, but it's so much easier to grow when you have a very set niche. For example, think about you're going to Netflix and there you have 10 different shows, but every show just has one episode online. So you start a show and you really like it, but there's not a second episode you can watch. You can only watch another show. Same it is with the different topics you're talking about. When you have one show with 10 episodes, somebody will binge watch that show. Same as it with your content. So somebody wants to binge watch your content, have a lot of content in that niche, and that's the way you can grow.
Ooh,
I like
love
that
idea. This is like, it's really connecting with us because what we teach in the Amazon space and selling physical products online is to be niche focused. And what that allows us to do is, one, we get to retarget the same customers and we can upsell them and cross promote other products, because if they're purchasing one of our products that's within the same niche that they're following within, they most likely will purchase other ones. Therefore, we acquire the customer once and we can monetize them afterwards. And two, exactly like, so you're building a better brand for yourself. Becoming niche focused allows you to have a more engaged audience. And we've also established that. And the other thing is you start to realize what works and what doesn't work in regards to how to communicate with your customer, how to convert your customer, things along those lines. And all you got to do is just keep duplicating it. So I definitely resonate with that. Now, one thing that you had mentioned was, get their deets, find their pain points, try to facilitate this feedback. How do you go about doing that? Do you ask questions just via Messenger? Do you send out surveys? What does that exactly look like?
So oftentimes people who follow you want to be like you and did almost like a similar journey. So the pain points you may have, probably they have similar ones because they want to look up to somebody, and that's why they follow you. Because just think about, what are my problems, my dreams, my challenges, and oftentimes they have almost the same ones or very similar ones. But of course, you can just communicate with them. You can DM with them. You can do all these interaction tools Instagram offers you in the story. You can have the Q&A box. You have quizzes. You have a lot of things you can use, and just by telling stories from your personal life, people will respond to that, write DMs, react on the stories with little emojis or whatever. So you basically get to know your audience, but they almost are always on your journey that you went through. You're maybe like 3 to 5 steps ahead of them.
Cool. I like that.
Creating like a cult-like following.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're people are attracted to you, and you don't have to do anything different. I think that's where, and you mentioned it before, like back in the day, it used to be like these super curated feeds. You had to look super sexy and you had to do all the makeup and all the fine dandy things. And nowadays you see all the behind the scenes. And I think that's where people really resonate and connect with people. So
yeah.
100%.
Cool.
I agree.
And
go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, right now in like social media as a whole, like it's changed so much. Is there any trends that you think that are picking up apart from TikTok? Obviously, we know that that's big. We know that the algorithm is just not developed enough for, like, anybody can get famous on TikTok these days. But is there anything that in the industry, like the social media industry as a whole, that people need to catch on to, or, past trends that you think are going to continue and that people need to be aware of?
I mean, Clubhouse was a very huge wave. At least in Germany, Clubhouse was a huge wave. Suddenly everybody was on it. But like after a few weeks, I haven't heard anything from it because I think there are issues with the platform. So I'm not someone to look out for the next big thing and hop on it the earliest thing possible, because I just want to focus on what I'm currently doing and how to optimize that and how to build up that. You don't need to be everywhere. You have to have, like, I'd say have 2 platforms and have 1 private platform. So that means no social media network, but for example, an email list or an own website that can't be taken away from you, because social media can be gone any day. Any platform can disappear. I mean, it's not likely, but it can happen. And imagine you have 1 million followers, but only on Instagram, and suddenly Instagram shuts down and you have no way of reaching those people. For example, if you have an email list or your own website, you can update them and can hold on to them and tell them where to go next. So you don't have to be everywhere. Focus on 1 step at a time. And right now I'm just doing that. I'm not looking out to any new platform or what's the next big thing. I put my energy all in the platforms I currently have in the business I already have and how to scale and optimize that.
Cool. Love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. You were thinking there, Brian. What did you have?
I'm trying to think how I can phrase this. I know that we chatted around, building an audience, getting engagement, having curated content, things that are going to resonate within a niche. Now, let's say I started a page, I had 0 followers, and I wanted to get that first initial boost. And I know hashtags probably go a long way. Maybe we can expand a little bit on that. I know hashtags allows us to get visibility on, the global feed of Instagram, things along those lines. But I'm just trying to think, if I were to become an influencer today, what would be the quickest thing without doing any kind of paid advertising to actually get engaged following from the get-go? Other than obviously, staying focused to your niche, things along those lines, but almost like promotional things that are in a way free, or research, things along those lines. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Okay.
So as I said, of course, what you can do for yourself is reels and posting them on Explore feed, as I said, because that's the number one way to reach new people.
Yep.
But if you want to do something else, you can always do co-creations, for example. If you have a niche, you can find someone else in that niche that maybe has your target audience, and you can create something together. For example, I did with another social media coach, I did a reels guide, like how to use reels, how to get your reels go viral. And we did a co-creation on each other's accounts and build just a little mini guide together. You can do stuff like that. So cross promotion with others. Of course, the old thing, shout out for shout out. I'm not a big fan of that, because it almost always just seems just like a trade. Yeah, I just want to get followers. I don't care who they are. So I would not necessarily recommend that.
Yeah, okay.
But if they're in your niche and they have your perfect audience, yeah, okay, why not? You can always support each other. That's clear. But yeah, I don't know if there's any smart strategy to get the boost from the get-go, honestly.
Yeah.
There's no getting lucky on Instagram anymore.
No, you don't.
we gotta work hard.
Yeah, it is like that.
I love that.
In regards to monetizing your audience, is there a specific time frame that an influencer should start to consider to do that? For example, when should they feel like they have that opportunity to actually go ahead and start selling to their audience, or things along those lines, or approaching people to land partnerships? Is there a certain follower threshold, things along those lines that people look for?
I mean, a big thing brands are looking for is the 10K mark, because you have the swipe up link. So Insta stories are the number one thing that gets booked by brands, because it's the quickest way to sell things. Even though they're only 24 hours online, it's just the most personal, intimate thing. So you only get the swipe up link if you have 10,000 followers. So brands look forward to those 10K profiles. But even if you have less than 10K, even if you have 5K or almost 4K, but you have over 1,000 likes, which is a very good engagement rate, you can try to land paid collaboration. There is no rule or a starting point where you can say, okay, you can only start then and then. You can always try. The worst they can say is no, and then you're still at the point where you were before. So, but yeah, brands always look at the swipe up link opportunity most often.
I'm curious to know about more about the communication between brand and influencer. So let's say you're the brand. What do you say, or is there anything specifically that you try to show that you are of value to that influencer when reaching out for a partnership?
Yeah, sure. So you reach out via email, never via DM. Oh gosh, I don't even reply to these. So yeah, always use email. All the professional influencers have email addresses in their profile, and if not, they're not professional, and you don't want to work with them because it will be a nightmare. But yeah, you reach out to them. Yeah, you present yourself and of course the company. You tell the influencers why you think it is a great fit, why they want to work with them. So maybe they looked into their profiles and I don't know, found it very interesting or whatever it is, just to give the brand fit. That's vice versa. If an influencer reaches out to a brand, it's almost a similar way. You explain the other party hey, I want to work with you because I want to do it like that, because I think it will be a great fit, because you always give a cause on why you're reaching out. And then for the brand, it's almost always the best thing to communicate all the details so the influencer can make a decision based on that. So what's the timeline? What's the posting they're interested in? Maybe what's the budget even? I would not recommend that from a brand side, but from an influencer side, it's always great to have a budget to work with and to negotiate with it. Yeah, oftentimes brands already attach a briefing about the campaign. Hey, that's what we're looking for. Is there something you would be interested in? Please get back to us with a decision or any questions that you might have. So that's like the usual email frame.
Pretty standard. It sounds like.
Yeah.
I think it's all about like how can we help each other is what it comes down to, right? And I think it brings it back down to audience, right? Like if I reach out to a brand that is in the sports niche and I'm in the kitchen niche, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's got to be relevant to each other. That makes sense.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Brian, was there anything else you wanted to go over? Is there anything that you think, Hannah, that would be really valuable for our audience to know more about when it comes to content creation, when it comes to influencer marketing or social media as a whole? Like, or is there anything that you would just love to talk about that we haven't already talked on?
I mean, maybe the thought that a lot of people think they need this and this and this to earn money online, which isn't true. I mean, you're teaching another way of earning money online, and you basically don't need hundreds of thousands of people following you. Like, I started the Predator concept with 300 followers and made, I think, a 3,000 euro launch. So you can earn money online with 100 people following you, or 200, or even 50 people. If those people are your people and your target audience, and you nurtured them to trust you, and you have a great niche. So don't give up. Don't think that you have to reach a mountain of a goal. You can have very small steps and you can win and earn money and have fun and create an income for yourself. It's way easier than you think if you have the right strategic steps you have to go.
Cool. That kind of strikes a question on my mind when you talk about nurturing people. And I know that this will essentially come from having an engaged following that is clinging to you. Like, they're inspired by you. They like you. They want to be you, exactly like you had said. Now, when it comes to our end, other end of the spectrum, nurturing leads is all about providing more and more value. I'd like to discuss, and let me know if this is a completely different kind of frame of talk compared to what we do, but like almost like a funnel. Like, do you ever look at people like the customer's lifetime value, like top of the funnel? You're just trying to get them to get in, and then eventually to monetize, you got to get them down. It's all about building value, things that resonate with them, and eventually you can monetize them. Is there something like that, like some kind of plan that you follow in order to build that through your social networks? Anything along those lines?
I mean, there should be. As an influencer, you don't see it like that. You don't see it like a funnel, which is not very good because you can build one. As an influencer, you get thousands of people eventually following you. And you only think about, oh yeah, I can do collaborations and earn money online with brands. I can do collabs and they pay me for that. Oftentimes influencers forget what an impact they have. So they can build their funnel, they can build an email list, they can do digital products, they can sell their presets, they can build their own brand to have another stream of income. And a lot of influencers don't realize all the opportunities they have, which is my mission to show them, like, girl, you could earn so much money, and with your passion, you can help people, you can inspire people. Use that. Don't only show products of other brands. Show your own, build your own, I don't know, clothing line, or what you guys like, their own cologne. I don't know. You have so many opportunities, and so many influencers don't know it. As a social media coach, I of course have a funnel. I of course have like different products on different levels, and I nurture my clients and customers upwards the little steps they go. But influencers should definitely use that. That's like missed out opportunities a lot of influencers have. I
agree. I totally agree with that. I think we take a very similar approach in terms of building an audience first, getting them engaged so that they're true to us, they love us. And then, start building more value and then putting them down the funnel and then eventually monetizing them. I think it's a massive missed opportunity. Even an email list. I recently interviewed someone about email marketing, and there's so much missed opportunity in doing email marketing. And all it is just providing value and then eventually putting a call to action in there and then seeing if people bite and then optimizing from there. It's super, super simple in that sense. So I resonate with that. In regards to the creator concept, what's the vision for it? You're obviously doing quite a bit right now in terms of who you're approaching, what you're trying to do. What is it going to look like in 5 years? How is your approach going to change? If you may not know that right now, so to speak, but what's the overall vision of it?
The overall vision is to show my generation that we have so many opportunities in the world. Like, especially in Germany, we basically go through life with, I don't know how to say it in English, but we only see that one way that society goes, and there is no left and right. There's only straightforward, and that's the only way you can go through life and be successful, basically. And I did the opposite of that, always. So I want to show my generation that you actually can love your job. You can wake up in the morning and be so passionate about your job and your life, and you can build the life in your wildest dreams that doesn't seem real, but it can be real, and to show them how to make that real. That is the vision of TCC, the creator concept. So in 5 years, I see myself teaching a lot of our target audience is female, so I see myself teaching fierce females who are ready to take action, how to create their life full of freedom, financial freedom, personal freedom, geographical freedom, that they can eventually pass on to different people, more females, more, of course, males are welcome too. I don't want to exclude anyone, but also their children. So we basically can change the way of thinking, how our society and how our system works. Yeah. Of course, it's perfectly fine if we want to do a 9-to-5 job, but not everybody is the same. And currently our system and society tells us that everybody is the same and everybody has the same way to go, which is not the case. So I would love to be a speaker on events. I would love to have a bigger audience. I want to be on stage. I'd love to do like little retreats where you go on great trips and teach things and get to know other people, which are very inspiring, and to build like little circles of women supporting each other, and also just creating a movement. And we have to change the way we look at our system and our society, I think. So our children will benefit from that.
Yeah, 100%. No, our vision is the same thing with the young startup in specific. It's, our parents, like my dad's from Poland, my mom's from the Philippines. They're both first round immigrants to Canada, and they're very much so like, get a job, get something stable. And that's what most people are, I'm going to say brainwashed, but brainwashed for. So like, they're used to like, go to university, go get a corporate job, get a salary, be comfortable, have a kid, buy a house, get a mortgage. Don't do anything for yourself. Just follow the regular route. So our goal is exactly the same. It's educating people that, life isn't about following the traditional route, but it's also this additional route that is of entrepreneurship, of course, like doing something that you love, finding passion for yourself and building for yourself. So we're on the same path.
I was gonna say, overall, just breaking the norm, right? Just showing what's possible, especially at a young age. I mean, you're 20, we're 23. So kudos to you. You definitely got a better kickstart than us. But even as kids, us growing up, we always had some form of entrepreneurial drive, whether that be selling like old clothing, just trying to make money in some form. So we always had that inhibited between us. And we actually took the corporate route, and we experienced it. And what I can say to a lot of people who are going to be listening to this podcast, it's great. You can make a lot of money. Yes. But at the end of the day, you're building someone else's vision and you're not building your own. So passion and love for yourself is never going to be attained to the capacity where you would want it to, and only you can do it at the end of the day. So we 100% resonate with that. And the audience that listens to this podcast is specifically young people as well. So I think it's going to hit home with a lot of people for sure. That kind of leads me to my next question here. And just to cap things off here, Hannah, what kind of advice would you give someone young looking to either get into the entrepreneurship route or specifically becoming an influencers? What could they do right now to get started? And what kind of things, and this could be from your personal experience and failures that you'd experience or some challenges that you've experienced throughout your journey here, but some things that you would give them to give them a little kickstart, a head start in their journey here.
Basically, just to start, don't think about what others will say. Don't think about the opinions of others. Think about what will make you happy, especially in the long term. And then just start putting yourself out there. Growing a thick skin can take a lot of years, but it doesn't matter if you make someone happy now. It doesn't matter if there's your parents, your friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever it is. If they say, oh yeah, you shouldn't do that, but it makes you happy, you should damn well do that, because you have to be happy in 50 years, having a fulfilled life and being like, wow, I really lived my dream life, and you will regret that in the long run. So yeah, put yourself out there, educate yourself as much as possible, read books, watch webinars, I don't know, download as many freebies as you want until you have money to invest in even more knowledge. Always educate yourself even further, because it's a journey. You don't even have an end to it. So yeah, it never stops. You will always develop yourself and also just learn new things and never give up, believe in yourself, and just have fun on the way. Because you can have fun. You really can have an amazing job nowadays. So try to use it.
Absolutely. Awesome, Hannah. Well, I appreciate the time. I learned a lot. I thought I knew a decent amount about influencer marketing, but I definitely have a lot to work on in terms of managing our team. So I appreciate all the great knowledge. Now, to cap things off, where can people find you? Again, a lot of people are probably going to be inspired off of this podcast here. Where can people find you? Especially the younger females are probably going to be empowered here as well. So Instagram, website, what does that look like for you? And we'll also put it into the description of this podcast.
Thank you. You can find me on Instagram, on my website, on TikTok. Everywhere. My name is The Creator Concept.
The Creator Concept. Okay. Awesome, Hannah. Well, I appreciate the time.
Thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure as well.